Hold it steady, hold it steady. July 1945. The Western Pacific. Night. There is no moon. Only darkness, thick, endless, and absolute. Inside the B-29 superfortress, the cockpit lights glow a tired red. The aircraft shudders in the air, not violently, but enough to be noticed, enough to be feared. The engineer watches his gauges like a dying patient's heartbeat. Oil pressure, dropping, cylinder head temperature, rising. One engine coughs. Then another. The pilot grips the controls harder. His knuckles are white. He does not swear. He does not shout. He has learned that panic spreads faster than fire. Behind him, 12 other men wait for words that might save them or condemn them. The radio crackles. Mayday, mayday, we're losing power, unable to maintain altitude. No response. They are too far out. The nearest friendly base is hundreds of miles away. Even if someone hears them, rescue will not come in time. Below the aircraft is nothing but water, black, cold, and waiting. The pilot finally speaks. Prepare for ditching. Some men pray. Some stare at the floor point one thinks of his mother's kitchen table. Sunlight through a window that feels like another lifetime. The aircraft descends. The ocean rushes up faster than expected. Someone shouts. Metal screams. And then the B-29 hits the water with the force of a collision no human body was meant to survive. The nose collapses. The fuselage tears open. Water floods, and instantly, men are thrown forward, slammed into steel, crushed beneath falling equipment. Within moments, the superfortress, a machine that carried war across oceans, becomes a trap. Some escape, some do not, and as the last air bubbles rise to the surface, the aircraft sinks into darkness. There is no explosion, no final signal, just silence. For the next 8 decades, the ocean will keep what war discarded. The B-29 superfortress did not exist because of ambition. It existed because of fear. By the late 1930s, the world was collapsing into violence. Europe was already burning. Asia had been bleeding for years. Japan's empire expanded across China and the Pacific, driven by the same hunger that consumed every rising power before it: resources, dominance, survival. The United States watched from across the ocean, believing distance was protection. That belief died on December 7, 1941. After Pearl Harbor, America understood a brutal truth. There were no safe distances anymore. To fight Japan, the U.S. needed a weapon that could reach across thousands of miles of ocean, a bomber that could fly higher than enemy defenses, farther than existing aircraft, and carry enough destruction to break an entire nation's ability to wage war. The B-29 was that weapon. On paper, it was extraordinary. In reality, it was unfinished. The engines, Wright 3350s, were powerful but fragile. They overheated, caught fire, and failed without warning. The aircraft was so complex that many crews barely understood its systems before being sent into combat. Training accidents were frequent. Men died before ever seeing the enemy. But the war demanded speed, not safety. And so the B-29 entered service early, imperfect, dangerous, and unstoppable. By 1944, B-29s were operating from newly captured islands in the Pacific: Saipan, Tinian, Guam. These islands were turned into massive airfields carved out of coral and blood. Each mission was an ordeal. Crews woke hours before takeoff. They ate heavy breakfast they often couldn't keep down. They checked equipment with ritualistic precision, knowing a missed detail could kill them later. Takeoff alone was terrifying. Fully loaded B-29s barely cleared the runway, engines screaming, airframe shaking under the strain. Once airborne, the bomber climbed slowly to altitude, often taking more than an hour. Inside the pressurized compartments, men settled in for flights that could last 14 or even 15 hours. There was no relief, no escape, just engine noise, recycled air, and the constant awareness that something, anything, could go wrong. Over Japan, the sky became a killing field. Anti-aircraft fire exploded around the bombers, black bursts tearing through formation. Japanese fighters attacked from below and behind, aiming for engines and fuel tanks. Sometimes a B 29 caught fire and fell away silently. Sometimes it stayed airborne, damaged, bleeding, barely alive. Those were the most dangerous, because the journey home was often worse than the mission itself. As the campaign intensified, commanders began to notice something disturbing. More B-29s were being lost to mechanical failure than enemy action. Engines overheated on climb-out. Fuel pumps failed mid-mission. Electrical fires spread unseen behind panels. The aircraft was a technological marvel and a mechanical nightmare. Crews learned to smell trouble before they saw it. Burning oil had a distinct scent, so did overheated wiring. When an engine fire started, there were seconds, sometimes less, to put it out before it spread to fuel lines or wing structures. If the fire could not be contained, the decision was brutal and immediate. Abort mission. Turn back. Or ditch. Ditching a B-29 was a last resort. The aircraft was not designed for water landings. Its high landing speed meant that even a controlled ditching could tear apart. Many crews never practiced it. Some never survived it. Inside the B-29 were young men carrying unbearable weight. The flight engineer monitored failing systems, knowing his warnings might come too late. The bombardier stared through his sight, watching cities ignite beneath him, then spent the flight home wondering how many lives he had ended. The tail gunner sat alone, isolated at the back of the aircraft, hours of darkness broken only by sudden violence. They were trained to kill. They were not trained to process it. Fear became routine. Loss became statistics. When a crew failed to return, their bunks were emptied quietly. Their names were removed from flight rosters. The war did not pause. On the ground, the suffering was different and no less real. B-29s dropped incendiaries that turned neighborhoods into firestorms. Oxygen burned away. People suffocated standing up. Rivers filled with bodies. Children were burned alive. Mothers ran with flaming clothes clinging to their skin. The superfortress connected two worlds of pain, airmen trapped inside machines of war, and civilians trapped beneath them. Neither side had control. Both paid the price. When a B-29 ditched in the open ocean, survival depended on seconds. The pilot tried to land parallel to waves. The engineer cut fuel and power. Crew members braced in positions they hoped would save them. Sometimes the aircraft skipped once, twice, before breaking apart. Sometimes it slammed and disintegrated instantly. Water rushed in faster than men could escape. Heavy equipment tore loose, crushing anyone in its path. Some crews managed to inflate rafts. Some did not. Sharks were common in the Pacific. So was dehydration. Rescue aircraft often arrived days later, if they arrived at all. Many survivors died within sight of help. In August 1945, the war ended. Japan surrendered. The bombers stopped flying. The engines went quiet. Survivors returned home to parades, cheers, and medals. But for thousands of families, there was no celebration, only silence. Letters stopped arriving. Official notices arrived months later. Missing in action, presumed dead. Nobody that NO grave that NO answers. The ocean kept them. Decades passed. Technology advanced. Sonar mapped the seafloor in detail once unimaginable. Remotely operated vehicles descended into darkness where human divers could never go. And then the shape appeared. A B-29 Superfortress, resting on the ocean floor. Wings intact, engine still mounted, the cockpit is eerily preserved. Personal items visible inside. It was not destroyed. It was waiting. The Discovery team did not cheer. They spoke in hushed voices. Because this was not just an aircraft. It was a war grave. Some components were carefully documented. Some were recovered for preservation, not profit. Families were notified. For the first time, many learned exactly where their sons had gone. Not lost, located. The B-29 Superfortress helped end World War II. It also revealed something humanity still struggles to accept. That technology can solve problems faster than it can answer moral questions. That distance makes killing easier and grief harder. That victory does not erase loss. Beneath the Pacific, the superfortress still rests. engines cold. The crew is gone, history intact. It does not accuse. It does not forgive. It simply remains as proof of what happens when war outruns wisdom. The ocean did not take them. War did. The sea only keeps what war leaves behind.